Hi, this is Katie Proctor, the owner of BwP Picks here in Portland, Oregon.
And this is writer and critic Douglas Wolk.
And we have a couple books that came out this week that we're super excited about and want to tell you all about. First of all, Rock Steady, Brilliant Advice from My Bipolar Life by the amazing Seattle cartoonist Ellen Forney.
So as she explains it, her first book, Marbles, was about her bipolar diagnosis in the late 90s, just before she turned 30, with a few bits of practical advice thrown in from her experience. This is our sequel, and it focuses on tips and tools for living with a mood disorder with some personal tidbits thrown in.
And it is pretty much a self-help book. It is beautiful. It's gorgeous. She diagrams everything, how to do alternate nostril breathing, how to count to 12 while taking breaths. She has merit badges for therapy, for merit badges for using and developing tools for you. And this is for all kinds of mood disorders. It's for anxiety, it's for depression, it's for bipolar, it's for everything. And it's just gorgeous to look at, and it's so smart and so thoughtful.
Yeah, and very pragmatic. Just a lot of, it's really focused on tools and routines, and it's really exciting, and I hope you'll pick it up.
And, the other thing that came out today is the second issue of Barrier.
So the first issue of Barrier came out on Free Comic Book Day last Saturday. I hope you hit your local shop and picked up some awesome free books. Number 1 is being re-released today in a beautiful heavy cover stock version with a little extra back matter, as well as a release of number 2, which Douglas is holding here.
So this is a comic by Brian K. Vaughn and Marcos Martin, they did The Private Eye together. They did probably the best standalone Doctor Strange book, The Oath, together. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Brian K. Vaughn is also the guy behind Paper Girls and Saga as a writer, and Marcos Martin is absolutely amazing artist. Like, beautiful, designy, scary, gorgeously laid out kinds of things. This is a story that, well, half of it is in Spanish.
For one. It's a horizontal layout, as The Private Eye was as well. So it goes this way. That was very naked.
Yeah.
Apologies. It is full of bad language. It is full of nudity. It is so not for children. But it starts, the story starts with one protagonist coming from Honduras to cross the Texas border illegally, and the other protagonist running a ranch in far Texas, in the utter ends of rural border Texas, and dealing with influx of livestock mutilations on her ranch, and they bump into each other.
They bump into each other and then they're abducted. It's the premise of the thing. Barrier. It's the barrier between countries. It is the language barrier. If you read this and you can't understand a lot of what's being said in the Spanish language sections, that's kind of the point of the story.
You can Google Translate it. It's fine.
You can make it out from context.
So where I read Spanish but slowly, and I read English fluently. Nick, who works here, reads English fluently and Spanish not at all. I'm very curious to get the take from someone whose primary language is Spanish, and who maybe limps through the English or maybe doesn't read a lot of English. I'm very curious as to how this book reads for them.
If you are that person, put something in the comments. We would love to know.
Or if that's your grandma, make your grandma read it. And warn her about the nudity and the swearing, and then let us know.
One other thing that we wanted to point out about Barrier is how absolutely gorgeous the coloring is. It's by Vicente, who does pretty much all the coloring on Marcos Martin's projects.
Yeah. So there's gorgeous coloring throughout, and there's a lot of really lovely sort of psychedelia space stuff. But one of the things that I thought was really subtle and gorgeous, you can see on the pages here, where they sort of progress through a series of interiors to these alien spaces, and there's this really intense sense of just how weird the lighting is. Their skins are all done in these gorgeous gray tones, but there's just this sense of being in a really strange space that I feel like comes through the coloring more than even the line work. So I wanted to just point out how beautiful these books are.
And the second issue of this came out this week, along with the fancy edition of the first one, and I think the remaining 3 issues are going to be coming out over the next 3 weeks.
Weekly, and they do note that there's no intent to collect these. This is not going to be in a trade. So if you want to read Barrier, you can read it on Panel Syndicate, or you can pick it up in single-issue comics in your local comic shop.
If you got anything super awesome on Free Comic Book Day and want to tell us about it, we would love to hear. Put something in the comments, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.